The battle was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Energy weapons lit up space like lightning. Missiles streaked between ships, leaving trails of fire. Taemin watched from the command center, feeling helpless. He was a ground soldier. Up there in space, others fought because of choices he made. Their flagship is moving forward, General Youngsik reported from his ship in orbit. They are trying to break through our defensive line. Commander Yeon Hee's voice came through calm and steady. Let them come. Hold formation. Protect the planet. Beside Taemin, Rin watched the screens with sad eyes. So much death. All because I wanted peace. No, Jiwoo said firmly. She had stayed on the ground to help the wounded. This is because an emperor would rather kill his own people than let them speak freely. You did not start this. You just showed everyone what was already true. Ambassador Dae-jung entered the command center. He looked different now, less tired, more determined. President Han is about to make an announcement. Everyone needs to hear this. The screens changed. President Yoon Ji-han appeared, sitting at her desk in the presidential office. Behind her, the Earth flag hung on the wall. Her face was serious but not angry. She looked like a teacher about to tell students an important truth. Citizens of Earth and anyone listening across the galaxy, I need to tell you a story. When I was 7 years old, my family ran from war. We walked for days with no food, no water, no hope. We reached a border that was closed. The soldiers there had orders to turn everyone away. But one soldier looked at my mother, at me, at my baby brother, and he made a choice. He let us through. He broke the rules to save our lives. The president paused. That soldier's name was Lee Dong-hyun. He died defending that border 3 days later. But because of his choice, I lived. I grew up. I became president. His one act of mercy changed the entire path of my life. On the screens, images appeared. Pictures of the soldier, young and smiling. Pictures of young Yoonji with her family, safe in a refugee camp. Today, Corporal Taemin Kim and Private Jiwoo Lee made the same choice Soldier Lee made all those years ago. They saw someone dying and they chose to help even though orders said not to. And because of their choice, thousands of Kalteri have found freedom. Protests for peace have spread across an empire. The path of history has changed. The president stood up. The Kalteri Emperor has given us an ultimatum. Return the defectors or face war. He wants us to hand over the humans who started this. He wants us to choose safety over principle. She shook her head. I refuse. Behind her, other leaders appeared. The European Union President, the Asian Coalition Chairman, the African Federation Speaker. Leaders from every human nation all standing together. Humanity speaks with one voice today. President Yoon-ji continued. We will protect anyone who comes to us seeking freedom. We will not return people to face execution for the crime of wanting peace. And we will stand with those brave Kalteri who are fighting to reform their own society. She looked directly at the camera. To the Kalteri Emperor. Your people are not property. They are individuals with rights and voices. The more you try to silence them, the louder they will speak. The more you threaten us, the more united we become. You can choose war, or you can choose to listen to your own people. But you cannot stop an idea whose time has come. The broadcast ended. The command center was silent. Then Bora spoke up from her communication station. Messages are flooding in from Kalteri space. The protests are getting bigger. Some military units are refusing to fight and, she looked up, eyes wide. The Emperor's Council is meeting an emergency session. Some members are calling for his removal. A coup? Captain Hyunwoo asked. Maybe. Or maybe they finally realize they cannot win this by force. Bora kept reading messages. Wait, there is something else. A signal from inside the capital city. The New Dawn movement. They are planning something big. On Viridian 7, Rin suddenly stood up. Nari, my sister. She is in the capital. If there is chaos, if the government is distracted. Rin looked at Taemin with desperate hope. Could we save her? Taemin looked at Captain Yunmi, who had been listening quietly. Your daughter is there too. I know, Yunmi said. I have been thinking about nothing else. But the capital has too many defenses, too many loyal soldiers. Not as many as before, Jiwoo pointed out. Half the military is in space fighting. The protests are keeping police busy. And if some of the Emperor's council is turning against him, Kang Dae-moon pulled up a map of the Kalteri capital city. The prison where they keep political prisoners is here, in the northern district. If we had help from inside, from the resistance movement. It is still suicide, Yunmi said, but her voice said she wanted to be convinced. Ambassador Daejung surprised everyone by speaking. I have contacts in the capital, moderates who have been secretly opposing the emperor for years. If we coordinate with them, if we time it with the protests. He looked at Taemin. You started this by saving one alien. Maybe we can finish it by saving a few more. This is crazy, Captain Hyunwoo said, but he was smiling. I am in. Me too, Jiwoo said immediately. And me, Taemin added. Yunmi closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were filled with tears and determination. If we do this, we need to move fast. Before the Emperor realizes what is happening, Bora started typing quickly. I can coordinate with the resistance. Get them to create diversions. Make it look like attacks are happening everywhere so they do not know where we really are. I will fly you in, said a new voice. Lieutenant Sung-ho Kang stepped forward. I was a pilot before I became security. I can handle a stealth ship. How many can we take? Taemin asked. Small team. Maybe 10 people. Any more and we lose the stealth advantage, they planned quickly. Taemin, Jiwoo, Yunmi, Sung-ho, and 6 Kalteri defectors who knew the capital. They would go in under cover of the protests. The resistance would guide them. Get in, free the prisoners, get out, simple. Except it was not simple at all. In orbit, the space battle continued. Commander Yeon-hee was holding the line, but barely. Ships on both sides were damaged. People were dying. Every minute that passed made the situation worse. President Yoon-ji contacted them directly. We are buying you time, she said. Diplomatic channels are opening. Some Kalteri leaders want to talk, but the hardliners want blood. If you are going to do this rescue, do it now while we still have a chance. The small team gathered at the landing pad. Taemin checked his weapon for the 3rd time. Jiwoo carried medical supplies and a pistol. The Kalteri defectors looked nervous but ready. Rin insisted on coming too. Nari is my sister. I need to be there. You are still weak, Jiwoo protested, I know. But she needs to see that I am alive. That human saved me. It will give her strength. Rin looked at each of them. Besides, you will need someone who knows the prison layout. I was there before they moved me to the forest. They could not argue with that logic. Rin joined the team. As they boarded the stealth ship, Captain Hyunwoo came to see them off. This is probably the stupidest thing I have ever authorized, but it is also the bravest. Come back alive, all of you. The ship lifted off. Through the window, Taemin watched Viridian 7 grow smaller. Above, the space battle raged. Below, a planet full of people waited to see if peace was possible, or if war would consume everything. He thought about the moment he saw Rin hanging from that tree. The moment he chose to give water instead of walking away. That simple choice had led to this. To battles and broadcasts and revolution. To thousands of people standing up for what was right. What are you thinking? Jiwoo asked quietly. I am thinking that I never want to be the person who walks away, Taemin said. Even if it is hard. Even if it is dangerous. Some choices matter too much, Jiwoo smiled. That is why we are here. The ship entered hyperspace, jumping toward the Kalteri capital. Toward danger. Toward hope. Toward whatever came next. Behind them, in orbit around Viridian 7, Commander Yeon-hee received a message. It was from a Kalteri ship in the Emperor's fleet. The captain wanted to defect. Then another ship. Then 3 more. The revolution was spreading faster than anyone could have imagined. And it all started with one human soldier who refused to let someone die alone in a forest. Sometimes the smallest acts of mercy create the biggest waves of change. The communications room was small and crowded. Captain Hyunwoo worked quickly, setting up cameras and checking signals. Outside, the sounds of weapons fire grew louder. The Kalteri forces were pushing through the base defenses. Lieutenant Sung-ho Kang ran into the room. He was the security officer, a tall man with scars on his face from an old battle. Captain, the shield won't last more than 20 minutes. After that, they'll be inside. Then we have 20 minutes, Hyunwoo said. He looked at Daejung. Ambassador, you're on. Daejung stood in front of the camera. His hands shook slightly, but his voice was steady. This is Ambassador Daejung Cho, official representative of Earth to the Kalteri Empire. What I am about to say will likely end my career. It may end the peace treaty, but I cannot stay silent anymore. He took a breath. For 5 years I have made deals with the Kalteri Emperor. I have looked the other way when reports came in about executions, about torture, about children being punished for speaking their minds. I told myself I was protecting Earth, preventing war. But I was wrong. On the screen behind him, images appeared. Lieutenant Sung Ho had been busy. The images showed cavalry hanging from trees, dozens of them. Some were young, barely adults. There were videos of public executions, of families crying, of soldiers beating prisoners. These are not enemy combatants, Dae-jung continued. These are ordinary cavalry citizens. Their crime, wanting peace, speaking about rights, questioning their emperor. And we, humanity, have known about this. We have done nothing because we were afraid. The building shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling. Today, 2 of our soldiers chose differently. Corporal Tae-min Kim and Private Ji-woo Lee found a young Kalteri named Rin hanging from a tree, left to die slowly. They were ordered to walk away. They refused. They saved a life, and now the Kalteri Empire demands we hand them over for punishment. Dae-jung's voice grew stronger. I will not do that. I will not sacrifice good people to maintain a peace built on looking away from evil. The treaty with the Kalteri Empire is hereby suspended until they end these practices. Earth stands with those who stand for justice. He stepped aside. Rin moved in front of the camera, supported by Ji-woo. The alien looked directly into the lens. My name is Rin. I am 19 cycles old. I was sentenced to die because I said war was wrong. Because I wanted peace with humans. Rin's voice was soft but clear. Many Kalteri think like me. But we are silent because we are afraid. The Emperor kills anyone who speaks against him. Not just soldiers, children, families. Rin paused, coughing. My sister Nari is in prison now. She is 17. Next week they will hang her in the capital square. Her crime is the same as mine, wanting a better world. And there are hundreds more like us, waiting to die for thinking differently than the Emperor. The young alien looked tired, but there was fire in those yellow eyes. To my fellow Kalteri who watch this, you are not alone. We are many. The Emperor stays in power because we are afraid to speak together. But if we all speak at once, he cannot silence us all. Then Rin looked directly at the camera again. To humans, thank you. 2 of your soldiers showed me mercy when my own people showed cruelty. That is the difference between your species and what the Empire has become. You choose to see individuals, not just numbers. You choose compassion even when it is dangerous. An explosion rocked the building. The lights flickered. Sung Ho spoke urgently. That was the main shield. 5 minutes, maybe less. Rin spoke faster now. I do not know if I will survive this day. But if I die free. Thanks to humans who cared more about right than rules. If others are watching, if other Kalteri want to choose freedom over fear, know that there are places you can go. People who will help. Change is possible. We just have to be brave enough to speak. The broadcast ended. Captain Hyunwoo shut down the equipment. It sent. Every human base in this sector received it, and he checked his screen. About 30% of Kalteri communication networks picked it up before their government could block it. 30%, Tae-min repeated. That's millions of Kalteri, who are now watching their government very closely, Dae-jung said. He sat down heavily. What have we done? The right thing, Ji-woo said firmly. Another explosion, closer this time. Sung Ho checked his weapon. They're through. We need to get to the safe room. No, Captain Hyunwoo said. We stand here. If they want us, they'll have to come through that door. Tae-min picked up his rifle. Ji-woo stood next to him, her medical bag over her shoulder. Even Dae-jung grabbed a weapon from the wall. Rin sat in a chair, too weak to stand, but watching the door with determination. They waited. The sounds of fighting grew closer, then stopped. Everything went silent. The door burst open. Tae-min raised his weapon, but Sung Ho put a hand on his arm. Wait, a Kalteri soldier stood in the doorway. But its weapon was lowered. Behind it, more Kalteri soldiers appeared, but they were not attacking. They were just standing there. The first Kalteri removed its helmet. It was female, with dark blue scales and kind eyes. Which one is Rin? She asked in accented English. Rin stood up slowly. I am. The Kalteri soldier walked forward and knelt down. My name is Captain Yunmi of the 6th Fleet. I saw your broadcast. My daughter is your age. She also speaks of peace. The captain's voice broke. They arrested her yesterday. More Kalteri soldiers entered the room. They all lowered their weapons. One of them spoke. We were ordered to kill everyone here, to make an example. But we watched your broadcast. We are tired of killing people who only want peace. Captain Yunmi stood up and looked at the humans. We cannot go back to the Empire. They will execute us as traitors. We request asylum with humanity. Captain Hyunwoo stared at them. How many of you? All of us. 43 soldiers from my unit. Yunmi looked at her troops. We are not the only ones. I have received messages from 3 other units. They are also refusing orders. The broadcast, it changed something. We realized we are fighting for an emperor who kills our own children. Taemin felt something in his chest, something that might have been hope. The empire will send more soldiers. Yes, Yunmi agreed. But now they know that their own military is questioning orders. That changes everything. Daejong stepped forward. Captain Yunmi, on behalf of Earth, I grant you and your soldiers temporary asylum. But you must understand this might start a war. It might start a revolution, Yunmi corrected, and sometimes that is necessary. Private Bora Choi, the communications specialist, ran into the room. She was young, just 24, with quick hands and clever eyes. Ambassador, you need to see this. She pulled up her tablet. On it, messages were flooding in from across Kaltari space. Messages from soldiers refusing orders, from families hiding dissidents, from entire cities organizing protests. The broadcast had spread far beyond what they expected. There's more, Bora said excitedly. 3 Kaltari ships just broke away from their fleet in orbit. They're requesting permission to land here. They want to defect. 3 ships? Sung-ho looked amazed. That's almost 1,000 Kaltari. Captain Hunwoo looked at Daejong. Ambassador, what do we do? Daejong was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was the first real smile Taemin had seen from the man. We open the gates. We welcome anyone who chooses peace over tyranny. And we prepare for what comes next. He turned to look at Taemin and Jiwoo. You two broke every rule, disobeyed direct orders, started what might become the biggest crisis in human-Kaltari relations ever. Taemin stood straight. Yes, sir. Good, Daejong said. The galaxy needs more people willing to break bad rules. Outside, the 3 Kaltari ships were landing. Inside, former enemies stood together, united by something simple. The belief that every life mattered, that speaking truth should not mean death, and that sometimes one act of mercy could change everything. The command center on Earth was chaos. Screens showed news from across human space and beyond. President Yoon Ji-han stood in the middle of it all, watching the world change in real time. She was 58 years old, gray-haired and tired, but her eyes were sharp. Show me the numbers again, she ordered. General Young Sik Nam pulled up the data. He was 60, a career military man with more medals than anyone could count. 43 Kaltari ships have defected in the last 12 hours. That's approximately 15,000 soldiers. Another 100,000 Kaltari civilians are requesting asylum at various human colonies. And the Emperor's response? He has declared a state of emergency. All borders are closed. Anyone caught watching the broadcast faces immediate execution. Young Sik pointed to another screen, but it is too late. The broadcast spread to 70% of Kaltari space before they could block it. Protests have started on 12 major worlds. President Yoon-ji watched the footage. Kaltari in the streets holding signs demanding change. She saw families, children, old ones, all of them brave enough to speak after watching one human soldier choose mercy. What about the hardline faction? She asked. 3 full battle fleets. Approximately 600 ships. They are moving toward human space. The Emperor has given us 48 hours to return all defectors and hand over the humans who started this. Taemin and Jiwoo. Yes, Madam President. Yoon-ji turned to look at the general. Your recommendation? Young Sik was quiet for a moment. Military recommendation? Hand them over. Return the defectors. Try to salvage the peace treaty. We cannot win a war against the Kaltari Empire. Even with their military divided, their remaining forces outnumber us 3-1. And your personal recommendation? The general smiled slightly. Tell the Emperor to go to hell. We protect our own. We protect anyone who comes to us for freedom. That would mean war. Yes, ma'am. A war we might lose. Unji looked at the screens again. She thought about her own past. She was born in a refugee camp during Earth's last Great War. Her family fled their home with nothing but the clothes on their backs. A soldier had found them at the border cold and starving. That soldier broke the rules. The border was closed, but he let them through anyway. He saved them. That soldier's name was Lee Dong-hyun. He died 3 days later defending that same border. But his choice gave Yoonji her life, and now she was president. Set up a broadcast, she said. I will speak to both humans and Kaltari. Meanwhile, on Viridian 7, the small human outpost had become something else. A sanctuary, Kaltari defectors filled every building. They sat in hallways and supply rooms anywhere there was space. Humans and Kaltari worked together, organizing food, medical care, and communications. Taemin found himself working with Captain Yunmi to coordinate the incoming defectors. She was efficient and calm, but he could see the worry in her eyes. "You are thinking about your daughter," he said. Yunmi looked at him. "How did you know?" "I have a sister. If she was in danger, I would think about nothing else. My daughter is in the capital city, under guard. They will use her to make me return." Yunmi's voice was tight with pain. "I want to save all the others, but she is my child." Taemin understood. He wanted to say something comforting, but what could he say? Then he had an idea. "How many soldiers do you think would help us rescue her?" Yunmi stared at him. "That is suicide. The capital is protected by the Emperor's personal guard. Thousands of soldiers. The best weapons. Yes, but how many of those soldiers do you think watched Rin's broadcast? How many have children of their own? How many are tired of executing kids for speaking the truth?" A new voice joined them. It was Kang Dae-moon, a scientist who studied alien cultures. He was 55 with kind eyes behind thick glasses. "The corporal is right. The Emperor's power is based on fear. Once people stop being afraid, that power disappears." "People are still afraid," Yunmi said. "Fear does not go away just because of one broadcast." "No," Kang Dae agreed. "But it starts to crack. Look at what happened here. You defected." Others followed. "That crack is spreading." Jiwoo joined the conversation. She had been working in the medical bay for hours treating wounded defectors. "We have been receiving encrypted messages from inside the Empire, from reform groups. They want to help." "They are organizing." "Organizing what?" Taemin asked. "A resistance. They are calling it the New Dawn Movement." Jiwoo showed them her tablet. They have been working in secret for years. Rin's broadcast gave them hope, made them willing to come out of hiding. Before anyone could respond, alarms started blaring again, but this time it was different. Captain Hyunwoo's voice came over the speakers, and he sounded excited instead of afraid. "All personnel report to the landing area. We have friendly ships incoming." They ran outside. In the sky, a massive ship was descending. It was human, military, with weapons that could level a city. Taemin recognized the design. It was the Indomitable, one of Earth's most powerful warships. The ship landed and soldiers poured out. Then came the captain. Commander Yan He-shin was 40 years old, famous for never losing a battle. She walked with confidence, scanning the base with tactical eyes. When she saw the Kaltari defectors, she did not look surprised. Captain Hyunwoo saluted. "Commander Shin, we were not expecting—" "I know," Yan He interrupted. "I was not supposed to be here. I was ordered to stay in orbit. To observe and not interfere," she smiled. "I decided to interpret those orders creatively." "You will be court-martialed," Hyunwoo said. "Probably. But I watched the broadcast. I have 3 kids back on Earth. I thought about them watching someone hang for speaking the truth. And I thought about what kind of example I want to set." Yan He looked at the crowd of humans and Kaltari working together. "Where is Corporal Kim?" Taemin stepped forward. "Here, Commander." Yan He studied him. "You started all of this. 1 soldier saving 1 alien. Now we have thousands of defectors, protests across the Empire, and 3 battle fleets heading our way. Quite the mess." "Yes, ma'am." "Good, because I brought 5 more ships with me, plus about 2,000 soldiers who think what you did was brave and right." She looked around at everyone. "We are going to defend this place. We are going to protect every single being who came here for freedom. And we are going to send a message to the Emperor that humans do not abandon people who trust us." Cheers erupted, humans and Kaltari together celebrating. Taemin felt tears in his eyes. He had thought he might die here. Now he had an entire fleet backing him. But then new ships appeared in the sky. Lots of them. Kaltari ships. The hardline fleet had arrived early. Yan He watched them through her binoculars. "They are not here to talk," she said calmly. She turned to her troops. "Battle stations. Make them work for every inch." As everyone moved to defensive positions, Rin appeared beside Taemin. The young alien was still weak but determined. "Thank you," Rin said. "For everything." "Do not thank me yet," Taemin replied. "The hard part is just starting." Above them, human and Kaltari ships took positions. The Emperor's fleet spread out, surrounding the planet. Communication channels filled with demands for surrender. Commander Yan He opened a channel to the enemy fleet. This is Commander Shin of the Earth Defense Force. We protect all who seek freedom here. If you want them, you will have to go through us. The response came quickly. You are outnumbered 5-1. Surrender now or be destroyed. Yunhee looked at Taemin, at Jiwoo, at Rin, at all the faces around her. Human and Kalteri. Young and old. All of them choosing hope over fear. Come and try, she said. The first shots fired lit up the sky like stars. The base medical room smelled like antiseptic and fear. Taemin stood against the wall, watching Jiwoo work on Rin. The alien lay on a bed designed for humans, too big for its smaller frame. Machines beeped and hummed, showing that Rin's heart still beat, though weakly. Captain Hyunwoo Park stood in the doorway. His face was red with anger. You disobeyed a direct order, Corporal Kim. Yes, sir. You too, Private Lee. Jiwoo did not look up from her work. Yes, sir. Do you understand what you've done? The captain's voice was tight. The Kalteri ships are already at our gate. They're demanding we return their prisoner and hand you both over for punishment. Taemin finally looked at his captain. Would you have let that kid die, sir? Hyunwoo's jaw tightened. He did not answer. Instead, he said, 2 guards are outside this door. You're both confined to base until I figure out what to do with you. He turned to leave, then stopped. The ambassador is coming. This is bigger than me now. After he left, Jiwoo finally spoke. We did the right thing. I know, Taemin said. But the right thing might get us killed. Rin's eyes opened. The alien looked at both of them. You should not have saved me. Now you will suffer too. Don't talk, Jiwoo said gently. Save your strength. No, you must understand. Rin tried to sit up but was too weak. The Emperor cannot allow mercy. If others see that humans saved me, more Kalteri will speak out. More will question his rule. He will make an example of you. Taemin moved closer. Why did you speak out, Rin? You knew what would happen. Rin was quiet for a moment. My sister. Her name is Nari. She is only 17 cycles old. She also spoke about peace. Now she is in prison, waiting for her turn to hang from a tree. Tears ran down Rin's scaled cheeks. I hoped that if I died first, maybe they would spare her. Show mercy to one so young. But the Emperor has no mercy. Jiwoo's hand stopped moving. Your sister is going to be executed too? Next week. In the capital city. They will hang her in the main square so everyone can watch. Rin looked at the ceiling. I will never see her again. The door opened. 2 soldiers came in, followed by a man in a dark suit. He was older, maybe 50, with gray hair and tired eyes. This was Ambassador Dae-jung Cho, the human diplomat who handled all talks with the Kalteri Empire. Leave us, he told the guards. They hesitated, then left. Dae-jung looked at Taemin and Jiwoo like they were children who had broken something expensive. Do you have any idea what you've done? We saved a life, Taemin said. You broke a treaty. Dae-jung's voice rose. A treaty that keeps Earth safe. The Kalteri Empire has 3 times our military power. If they decide to attack us, millions will die. Millions. And you risked all of that for one alien? Yes, Jiwoo said simply. We did. Dae-jung rubbed his face. He looked very old suddenly. The Kalteri are outside. They want the prisoner returned. They want you both handed over for trial in their courts. And they want it now, or they'll consider it an act of war. What will you do? Taemin asked. What I have to do? What I've always done. Protect the many by sacrificing the few. Dae-jung looked at Rin. I'm sorry, but you're going back. And these 2 soldiers will face a human court-martial instead. It's the best deal I can make. No. Rin's voice was weak but clear. Please, they will torture me. Make me suffer for days before I die. As a warning to others. Dae-jung turned away. I can't help that. I have billions of humans to think about. My father would be ashamed of you. Everyone turned to look at Jiwoo. Her face was wet with tears, but her voice was strong. My father was a soldier. He always said that the moment you stop seeing individuals and only see numbers, you stop being human. You become the monster. Your father never had to make decisions like this, Dae-jung said coldly. My father died saving 3 children from a burning building during the Mars colony attack. He could have saved himself. But he went back in because they were children and he was human. Jiwoo stepped between Dae-jung and Rin. If you hand Rin over, you're no better than the Emperor. Dae-jung's face went pale. For a moment, no one spoke. Then he said quietly, My daughter died in a Kalteri raid. She was 8 years old. I've spent every day since then trying to prevent more children from dying in a war. Don't tell me what being human means. Then act like her father would want, Taemin said. Honor her memory by doing what's right. Before Daijung could answer, alarms started blaring. The lights in the medical room turned red. A voice came over the speakers. All personnel to defensive positions. Kaltari forces are approaching the main gate. Captain Hyunwoo burst into the room. Ambassador, they're not waiting for your decision. They're coming in. Daejung looked at the captain, then at Rin, then at Taemin and Jiwoo. Something changed in his eyes. How many Kaltari ships? 5, about 200 soldiers. And our forces? 50 soldiers, 1 defensive shield, and enough weapons to hold them off for maybe an hour. Hyunwoo's voice was grim. Then they'll overwhelm us. Taemin had an idea. It was crazy, but everything was crazy now. Captain, can we broadcast from here? Send a message out to other human bases? Yes, but let Rin speak. Let everyone hear the truth about what the Kaltari Empire does. Not just to enemies, but to their own people who want peace. Daijung shook his head. That would be propaganda. It would make things worse. Worse than war? Jiwoo asked. If people know the truth, they'll understand why we couldn't hand Rin over. Rin sat up, ignoring the pain. I will speak. Not just to humans. Broadcast to Kaltari space too. There are others like me, hundreds, thousands. They are afraid to speak, but if they hear my voice, if they know humans will help us. Rin's eyes were bright now. Revolution can start with one voice. The building shook. The Kaltari were attacking the shield. Captain Hyunwoo looked at Daejung. Ambassador, this is your call. But make it fast. Daejung was silent. Taemin could see the war inside the man. Duty against conscience. Safety against justice. The ambassador closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, they were different. Harder, determined. Set up the broadcast, he said. But I'll speak first. If I'm going to throw away my career and maybe start a war, I'm going to do it properly. Captain Hyunwoo almost smiled. I'll get the equipment. He ran out. Taemin looked at Jiwoo and she looked back at him. They had started something that could not be stopped now. In the distance, they heard the sound of the Kaltari forces breaking through the outer defenses. Time was running out. But maybe, just maybe, they had started something bigger than war. Maybe they had started something that looked like hope. The forest was quiet that morning. Too quiet. Corporal Taemin Kim walked slowly through the tall trees, his rifle ready in his hands. He had been a soldier for 6 years now, and he knew when something felt wrong. The air smelled different here, like metal and something bitter he could not name. His boots made soft sounds on the ground covered with strange purple leaves. This planet, Viridian 7, was not like Earth. The trees were twice as tall and their bark glowed faintly in the dark. Taemin was supposed to check this area every 3 days. It was part of the peace agreement between humans and the Kaltari Empire. Both sides stayed in their zones, and soldiers like him made sure nobody crossed the line. He heard a sound. It was weak, like a small animal in pain. Taemin stopped walking and listened. There it was again. He turned left and pushed through some thick bushes. Then he saw it. An alien hung from a massive tree. Metal chains wrapped around its arms and held it high above the ground. The alien's body was thin, covered in scales that should have been shiny but looked dull and dry. Its head hung down, and Taemin could see it was barely breathing. Above the alien, a sign floated in the air. It glowed with bright red letters in several languages. Taemin read the words in English. Punished to die, do not touch Imperial Decree. Taemin felt his stomach turn. He had seen many bad things in war, but this was different. This was not battle. This was cruelty. He moved closer and his scanner beeped. The device on his wrist showed information about the alien. It had been hanging there for 3 days. No food, no water. The temperature dropped to freezing at night in this forest. The alien moved slightly. One eye opened just a little. It was yellow with a dark center, and it looked at Taemin with something that might have been hope. Please, the alien whispered. Its voice was rough and dry. Water, Taemin touched his radio. This is Kim, I found something. I need Jiwoo here now. What did you find? The voice of his captain, Hyunwoo Park, came through the speaker. An alien. Kaltari. It's been punished. Left to die in the forest. There was silence for a moment. Then Captain Park spoke again, his voice hard. Can you see a sign? Yes, sir. It says not to touch Imperial Decree. Then don't touch it, Corporal. That's an order. We cannot interfere with Kaltari justice. Do you understand? Taemin looked at the alien. It was young, he realized. Maybe just a kid by their standards. Sir, it's dying. It's been here 3 days. I know it's hard, Kim, but if we touch that alien, we could start a war. The treaty is clear. We don't interfere with their laws. Come back to base, Captain. That's an order, Corporal. The radio went silent. Taman stood there, his hand still on the radio button. He looked up at the alien again. Those yellow eyes watched him. They did not beg. They just watched, waiting to see what this human would do. Footsteps came from behind. Taman turned and saw Private Ji-Woo Lee running toward him. She was his unit's medic, and she carried her medical bag. Ji-Woo was younger than him, only 26, and she still believed the rules existed to help people. "What did you find?" she asked, breathing hard from running. Then she saw the alien and stopped. Her face went pale. "Oh no. Captain says we can't touch it," Taman said quietly. Ji-Woo walked closer, her scanner already out. She read the information and shook her head. 3 days without water? In this temperature? She looked at Taman. "It will die by tonight. Maybe sooner. I know. We have to help it," Captain said. "I don't care what he said." Ji-Woo's voice was loud, angry. She was usually so calm. "This is wrong. This is torture. Look at it, Taman. It's just a kid." Taman's radio came alive again. "Kim Lee, I'm watching your position on satellite. Step away from that area now." Taman looked at his water bottle hanging from his belt. He thought about his sister back on Earth. She was about the same age as this alien seemed to be. He thought about why he became a soldier. It was not to follow orders that let kids die slowly in forests. "Kim, that's a direct order." The alien coughed. Blood came from its mouth, dark purple blood. Its eyes started to close. Tae-min made his choice. He grabbed his water bottle and stepped forward. "I'm sorry, Captain," he said into the radio. Then he reached up toward the alien. "Kim, stop." That's Tae-min turned off his radio. Ji-Woo was already beside him, opening her medical bag. Together they lifted the alien's head. Tae-min poured water slowly into its mouth. The alien choked at first, then swallowed. Its eyes opened wider. "That's it," Ji-Woo said softly. "Slow sips. You're okay now." The alien drank more. Some color came back to its scales. It looked at both of them, and Tae-min saw tears in those yellow eyes. "Thank you," the alien whispered. "My name is Rin. I'm Tae-min. This is Ji-Woo. We're going to get you down from there." Ji-Woo pulled out a laser cutter from her bag. "These chains are thick. It'll take a minute." As she worked on the chains, the floating sign above them changed. The red letters turned brighter, angry red. New words appeared. "Warning. Imperial law violated. Guards notified." Tae-min watched the sign and felt his heart beat faster. "We might have just started something big," he said. Ji-Woo cut through the first chain. "Good, maybe it's time somebody did." The alien, Rin, fell forward as the last chain broke. Tae-min caught it before it hit the ground. Rin was light, too light. Up close, Tae-min could see the damage. Burns on the scales. Cuts that had become infected. Broken bones that healed wrong. "What did you do?" Tae-min asked. "Why did they punish you like this?" Rin looked at him with those yellow eyes. "I told the truth," it said. "I said that maybe war with humans was wrong. I said maybe we should have peace instead." Rin coughed again. "They said that was treason." Ji-Woo put a bandage on one of the wounds. Her hand shook with anger. "Treason? For wanting peace?" "In the Kalteri Empire, yes." Rin's voice was getting stronger with the water and medicine. "Many think like me, but we cannot speak. If we do, we hang from trees." Tae-min heard engines in the distance, ships coming fast. "We need to move now." He picked up Rin carefully. Ji-Woo grabbed her bag, and they started running back toward the human base. Behind them, the forest filled with the sound of Kalteri ships landing. Tae-min knew that his life had just changed forever. He broke the biggest rule. He interfered with Kalteri justice, and he would do it again, because some rules deserve to be broken.